All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about a new kind of warfare today. And no, I'm not talking about tanks or jets. This war is being fought with something way more subtle. Clicks and code. And the battlefield? Well, it's right inside your head.
So let me ask you a question. When you hear the words, the next great frontier, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, right, it's probably outer space, maybe the deepest parts of the ocean.
But what if I told you the most important, the most contested frontier isn't out there at all? What if it's actually right here, between your ears? Yeah, we're going to dig into why this internal world of ours isn't just personal anymore. It's become the very territory where our entire future is being fought over.
And that's because, believe it or not, the human mind is now considered a battle space. Seriously, defending it isn't some sci-fi concept anymore. It's a top-tier national security priority. Just think about your own day. You're scrolling through your phone, right? Every single thing you do, every scroll past a post, every like, every click, it's all being fed into this enormous, invisible system. And here's the kicker. That system isn't just passively learning about you. Oh no, it's actively learning how to influence you. Your thoughts, your feelings, and a lot of the time, you don't even have a clue it's happening.
Okay, so this brings us to a really important idea, cognitive security. You can think of it like a shield, or maybe a firewall, for our minds. It's all about protecting our ability to see the world clearly and make our own choices, without some hidden external force trying to pull the strings.
And look, this isn't just some nerdy tech problem for Silicon Valley to figure out. This gets to the absolute core of who we are as people. We're talking about your fundamental right to think for yourself.
And right at the heart of all this is another key concept, cognitive liberty. It's a pretty simple but powerful idea. It's your right to mental self-determination. Basically, it means no one, not a company, not a government, should have the power to mess with your thoughts and feelings without you knowing about it and saying, yeah, okay, that's fine.
I mean, this gets really personal, right? We're talking about protecting the very things that make you, well, you. Your beliefs, your private thoughts, your emotions. It's about protecting your very identity.
And what starts out as a personal issue, well, it explodes into a massive problem for all of society. Because think about it. If a whole population can't really think for itself, if their emotional reactions are being secretly tweaked and engineered, how on earth can they make the kinds of clear, rational choices that a democracy absolutely depends on to survive?
Okay, so if our minds are under attack, the big question is, how do we fight back? Well, the good news is we're not helpless. There's actually a pretty clear strategy taking shape. You can think of it like building a firewall, but not for your laptop, for your mind.
And this defense strategy, it's really built on three main pillars. First up, we need some new rules, some legal frameworks. Second, we've got to use technology itself as a shield. And third, we need to build what you might call educational immunity in all of us. Let's break down what each of those actually means.
So, that first layer of defense is all about the law. This means we need to get serious about creating new legal frameworks. Some people are calling these NeuroRights. And they do things like regulate the use of emotional manipulation, force big tech companies to actually tell us how their algorithms work, and flat out ban the worst kinds of psychological interference. And this can't just be one country. We need global standards.
And listen, this isn't just some futuristic fantasy. It's already starting to happen. Check this out. Chile just became the first country in the world to actually write NeuroRights, these rights of the brain, directly into their constitution. That's huge. And what Chile did represents a massive shift in how we think about this stuff. Their law basically says that your brain data, it's not a product to be bought and sold like a barrel of oil. It's an extension of your physical body, and it deserves the same exact protections. It's a way of saying, hey, my thoughts belong to me. They're not a resource for you to mine.
All right, pillar number 2, technology. And this is kind of cool, because we can turn the very same tools used to manipulate us into our own defense. Imagine having a tool that flashes a warning when an algorithm is trying to make you angry, or using new kinds of privacy tech that stop your personal data from being scooped up in the first place.
And finally, we have what might be the most powerful piece of the puzzle, educational immunity. This goes way beyond just media literacy. It's something experts are calling affective literacy, basically learning to recognize when your own emotions are being played with. And a key part of this is a technique called pre-bunking. It works just like a vaccine for your brain. You get exposed to a weak version of a manipulative tactic, and your mind learns how to fight it off. It builds up these mental antibodies, And it's not just theory, it's already working in places like Finland and Lithuania.
So, when you pull all this together, it becomes crystal clear. Defending our own minds is in a very real way defending the future of democracy itself. And this is definitely not a job we can just hand off to someone else. This has to be a shared responsibility, a civic duty for all of us. We need universities digging into the research, journalists exposing what's going on, and advocates pushing for change. But more than anything, it means every single one of us has to wake up and get a lot more aware of how our attention and our minds are being targeted every day.
Because when it comes right down to it, the sources we've looked at make a really powerful argument. The great battle for our future, for democracy itself, it's not going to be won on some physical battlefield or in the halls of government. It's going to be won or lost.
Right here, in that tiny little moment, that little gap between a thought and a reaction, that is the cognitive frontier. And that is the space we all need to learn how to defend.
Next time, we're going to tackle an even bigger question. What does it even mean to own your thoughts when it feels like the whole world is trying to rent them out?